everyone. It's so amazing to see you. Hello, Selena, and hello, Elise. Thank you for being here at Most Powerful Women. So, Selena, you launched Rare Beauty in 2020. There were then, and there are now, so many celebrity beauty brands on the market. But as Emma alluded to in the introduction, you've been so incredibly successful. What did you see as the white space at that time that you wanted to fill?
I'm not quite sure there was a need for more cosmetics company, probably specifically from people like me. I'm sure people were not assuming that would do much, but I wanted to create the brand with a mission. I felt like at that time when I was starting the brand with my team, it just seemed to be a lot of expectations for women to, maybe it was a fad or a style, and it felt super unrealistic to me. So I wanted to find a way that if I were to take this adventure, how can I make it unique? How can it be not about perfection, but about inclusivity and making someone feel good? I also don't know how to do my makeup, so that's the ironic part. But I ended up creating the brand for people who hopefully feel the same way, and I love using my products and making sure that they're actually good. But yes, our mission has definitely centered around the Impact Fund,
which we're going to come on to in a second. And when you talk about inclusivity, you mean both the skin tones that are available, but also the packaging. So tell me a bit about why that's so important, because that's pretty unusual.
Absolutely. Well, I think I've been very honest about sharing my journey with some of my health issues, but if you don't know, I've had a kidney transplant and I have arthritis. So in my fingers, it can be very difficult just opening a water bottle. And I wanted products to feel like that I could use, that felt comfortable and not have to, I always bite the product sometimes to open the eyeshadows, but I felt like including something. And so basically, we met up with therapists, people who have dexterity issues. We've tried to include people who may not know how to easily access something. And that was really important just because it was a personal thing for me as well.
Yeah, of course. And talk to me a bit, and this is for both of you, whoever wants to answer, about the categories you enter and the products you enter each category with, because correct me if I'm wrong, it might have been updated. You're currently in 14 product categories and you have around 35 to 40 products, which isn't actually a lot. So what's the strategy behind what you do?
I actually didn't know the exact number.
That's what this is research that's led me to these numbers, but how do you figure out what's the right category and what's the right product?
I think we've always been driven by our community and ensuring that our product development team, but really across the board, all teams are so closely tied to the community that we've created the brand around. And it's truly our community that will help us stand the test of time, and they drive everything.
And
the innovation, we follow what we know they're going to want to see next. We know how important our brand values and inclusivity are, and are really driven by all of that.
What do you mean? Break down the word community for me, because it's something we use a lot these days. What do you mean by it, and how do you engage with it? Because I know you're doing some interesting things, Substack, for instance. But.
Yeah, so we reach over 12 million young people across all of our social channels. We consider that our community, but we don't just reach them through digital. We bring them together for community events, for influencer events, for mental health events, and we've done that since we launched the brand in 2020. And in many ways, launching a brand like this during a global pandemic can be challenging, but it forced us to double down on the brand's mission because we had to create connection and community among everyone. And so we started these rare chats in the very beginning, which were members of our community who signed up. They loved our products. We brought them together online. And we talked about everything from what's your favorite rare beauty product to what are you struggling with. And that was really the inception of building this community, and it happened authentically. And so over time, it's grown tremendously. Our customers are our community, but they know many of us. They know a lot of the people that work at the brand. They see us at events. They see us walking down the street. They talk to us on Instagram. And so there's a whole person behind every one of our customers. And I think that's what we consider the power of our community.
And Selena, how do you balance that? Because as Elise was saying, so much of the power of Rare and its community is you being the face of this brand and people connecting with you. A lot of us, myself included, feel like we've grown up with you. But then at the same time, putting yourself out there, and you've been very candid about this, has real life mental health consequences for you. So for all of us, can I just say, how do you walk that line between doing what is important for the business and also taking care of yourself?
Well, I'd say it's important to have a great team. I think I am very fortunate to have started with, I think it's an honor and a pleasure. I don't know if you know exactly where this woman has come from, but I'm so honored to have her as
amazing
a partner.
social impact work for Michelle Obama, Elise, and you two met over Zoom. You told me as well during the pandemic.
We did, and the rest was history.
It was great. So surrounding myself with people who actually believe and understand my mission was incredibly important. And like she said, I do think it is my transparency, but it also is what we've built, because we do tons of events for people that we have never met to people that have created a relationship, and we'll bring in therapists or we'll bring in music into play or food or any sort of activity that they can physically be a part of. And we also listen. I think sometimes we don't give the consumers enough credit. They're a lot smarter than we think.
And so do they, going back to what we were talking about a second, do they direct your product decisions? Do they direct the direction the company goes in strategically?
I mean, we definitely have a specific way of doing and showcasing our brand, but we listen, definitely. They have helped us with shades from just stories and products that they want to see less of, more of, and yeah, we definitely appreciate their feedback.
I have to ask about tariffs. It's been a hot word here over the past few days. Tariffs on cosmetic ingredients and packaging have really had a huge impact on the beauty industry over the past year. I believe that some of Rare's products are made in South Korea. Has it had any impact on your products and pricing models?
For the most part, we've stayed true to our prices and continue to want to ensure that we are a brand that is accessible and across the board. And, we'll have to see the direction that everything goes, but that's where we are right now.
Let's move on to the Rare Impact Fund. So, Selena, you launched this fund alongside, at exactly the same time you said you were launching the brand. It was a huge commitment from the outset. And its goal is to expand access to mental health services for young people worldwide, which I know is an issue very close to your heart. So 1% of all Rare Beauty sales go to the fund. Two-part question. First of all, how did you settle on that number? Why did that feel like the right direction to go in?
Well, I can say that every single thing this brand does has been driven by Selena, from her story to her values to her vision. And so making a commitment like that before ever selling a product is something that's really bold and unique. We didn't know what the success of the business would be, and it can be risky to give away 1% of sales, not profit, sales, before ever knowing what the business is going to look like. And for Selena, this brand has always been driven by mission first. The products can stand on their own, but truly the brand's mission and purpose and story is what makes the brand so unforgettable to our community. And so 1% of sales is bold. It's above gold standard as people look at sort of corporate philanthropy. And not only did Selena want to donate 1% of sales of her company, but she wanted us to also fundraise so that we could mobilize $100 million. This wouldn't just be a corporate philanthropy. This would be a true foundation, true through and through. And that's what it's been since day one.
And how do you think about allocating funds? How do you make those decisions?
So we work in partnership with organizations around the world. We vet them. We make sure that they are meeting our 3 pillars of impact, which is around suicide prevention and crisis response, education, as well as what we call communities of support, which is really ensuring that all of the adults around a young person are also trained and educated. So we make sure that the organizations we support fit into one of those buckets. And we currently support 30 nonprofit partners around the globe.
That's incredible.
That's hopefully just the beginning. That's
just the beginning. Where do you want it to be in 10 years' time?
I am to rush people. This is an important issue. This is something that often gets neglected, but also, when we started the brand, it was during the pandemic. It was during a really difficult time. So I wanted to see if that would even work. And like she said, I think it is kind of bold and a little risky to do that. But we've also been able to do full days working with our partners where, we did recently 3 days at Sephora where 100% of our fragrance sales went to the Impact Fund. So we get to do these things that help it grow, and we do a gala every year, and usually I force my husband to buy the most expensive thing because I'm like, just do it. We need to help people. So.
And he does it.
He does it.
He does it.
What a great husband. I don't know how many of you watched the documentary film that Selena made in 2022 called My Mind and Me, which was such an incredibly powerful film and actually a very brave thing for a celebrity to do, to give so much of yourself to the viewer like that. In that film, you talked about wanting to spearhead a mental health curricula for young people in schools. I wonder where you're at with that right now. Is it a possibility?
Well, to explain, when I went to rehab, I've been a few times for multiple things, but one of the biggest tools that helped me was dialectical behavior therapy, and it's called DBT. Some people know it as cognitive as well, so it can be CBT. And it instills these skills in me that I don't think I was ever able to do growing up. I'm bipolar, so regulating emotions, understanding what enmeshment and codependency looks like, and learning all of these lessons. So yes, my idea was, and dream would be, that they would teach, some sort of education in schools. When you're younger and you go to school, I remember I'd get a smiley face and they'd give me a little thing and they'd have a chart and they'd say, how do you feel today? And, it sucked when I got them a bad one, but it was just, to me, why wouldn't we keep that conversation going? I'm not sure currently that would be possible. But maybe one day it is a goal of mine that I truly would love to see through, and hopefully.
Well, and a lot of what we found also in doing our research, where there were a lot of programs and curricula for schools, but they didn't have the funding that they needed to scale or to tailor them to different communities and different cities and different states. And so that has been Selena's drive to create a curriculum, and her own experience has really helped guide the strategy of the fund and why we invest in programs that are evidence-based curriculums for school that we can help expand, we can help people modify them and really scale them across the country.
Yeah. And how do you reflect on that film now, Selena, My Mind and Me, because you're happily in a much happier place in your life? And I wonder how it feels looking back on that film now.
I'm just so glad I'm not there. I also don't want people to look at that film and still believe I'm there.
I don't think anyone does.
Well, good. I'm so grateful that I was able to share that part of me. Before it came out, I changed my mind so many times whether I'd release it or not. But now I'm just grateful that people found a lot of healing. We heard so much. And the conversation shifted from, let me take a selfie to, oh, wow, I have this. I've dealt with, clinical depression, and these conversations were opening up. So it was nice to tell my story to hopefully gain trust with my community, my group of people. And it's been wonderful and challenging, still is, but it's great.
No, it's a really remarkable film if you haven't watched it. One of the reasons that Rare is so distinct from its competition is its focus on breaking down unrealistic beauty standards, which is actually very counterintuitive for a makeup and beauty brand to do. They're normally selling us aspirational, completely impossible ideals of beauty. But we're in a really tricky time, I think, right now for women. There's the GLP-1 boom, which is kind of emphasizing extreme thinness. Every time I log onto Instagram, I seem to be served a video about how I should change my face. I wonder, does Rare have to adapt the way it's speaking to its community for this moment, which feels quite unique?
Not at all.
I don't think so.
I don't think
we've
our
doubled down.
conversation will change. If anything, we will double down on what we mean and how we don't use models. We use people that have felt, that they can be your best friend. I want something real. I think if anything, and I'd like to mention so many brands have been doing this. So it's not just us. I'm so grateful to see that there's incredible brands out there doing the same thing in their way. And it makes me really proud. So yeah, it can feel like you get, drowned in videos. Yes, there are videos of me, thousands, of what I should do to my face. It's kind of creepy.
Yeah, how do you respond to that? Because it's one thing watching them with someone else. Having that done of yourself must feel quite something.
It's weird. Then I get weirded out and I'm like, well, should I dye my hair like red? It's very unfortunate that that's what people are doing now with things like AI. It's interesting to me.
It's a scary world, and I do worry for our younger girls. I know you have a younger sister.
Yes, I do.
So how do you speak to her about it?
I'm very vocal. I'm very honest with her. By all means, I'm not her mom, but I do know that she is vulnerable to this new era. I was around when Instagram started, obviously, but I was about 19, and I got to live these pivotal moments in my life in my own way. And I just try my hardest to let her know that not everything that she is looking at is right, but she has a time limit on anything. We have the accounts, her parents, my parents have her accounts, and it's just unavoidable. But you have to find a language. You have to know that it's unavoidable, and you have to just be as cutthroat as they are.
And communicative as well.
Yeah.
Don't just ignore it. Playing devil's advocate for a second, what would you say to someone who says you're a self-made billionaire, you have access to all the hairstylists, all the makeup artists, all the incredible stylists in the world? Why should we be able to relate to you talking to us about being real? Because I'm sure that's what some people
very
think.
valid.
So
That's
what would
so
your
valid.
response be to that?
I think for me overall, it's not why I do it. I think there's a lot of people in my position perhaps wanting to just do that. That's not my goal. My goal is always to be remembered by what I've done for people. It's not, and as much as every girl likes to feel, anyone likes to feel pretty, I hate sitting in a chair and getting my hair and makeup done.
You do?
I do.
Because
I shouldn't say this and have a beauty brand. I'm sorry. It's very, it just can be a little. I have nothing to complain about, but I would simply say it's all a part of the business, and it's kind of something I wouldn't know how to answer other than I'm as real as I can be. I'm who I am. I was born in Texas, and I have a mom who still is just as strict with me. And I'm like, I'm 33 now. When does this stop? But
I don't think it does.
But it's always been part of your story. Like part of the story is really that everybody knows who Selena is, but she's so relatable because she rips off that layer and she shows everybody who she is on the inside, what her story is, how she struggled, what she cares about. And she's always been authentic about that. And that's what drives people to be drawn to her. When they wait to meet her, they don't, course they want a photo, but they actually want to talk to her. They want to tell her how her story changed them. They want to share what they've been through. and she stands there and she listens. She never says no to meeting people and connecting with people. That's her secret sauce. That's what makes her special. And she also happens to be so talented that she's built the fame that she's built. But at the end of the day, she's who she is.
Sorry,
I can say
don't
that.
do
and
well.
she's not
I don't
going
do
to
well
that.
with compliments.
Selena looks
I'm like, I'm
back
right
there.
here. Why are you talking about? Love you. I love you.
Rhett is in.
Sorry.
I would have thought you'd got used to the attention by this point, but it seems very real that.
I don't know how to really be
got it.
anything but me, but of course I'll tell you all the things that are photoshopped. I'll tell you where I got Botox. I don't really care. I think it's more just about where I am in life, and I'm honest with people when I don't feel good, and I'm honest when I feel great, and I just want to be there for others.
And that's what I think everyone really values in you. Rhett isn't your only company. You also own Serendipity Brands, an ice cream and dessert company, and the mental health content and support platform Wondermind. Now, there's been a few reports recently about financial and leadership issues there. I wanted to know if there was anything you wanted to say in response.
I think for me, there should be more opportunity for people to, I guess, want to explore mental health. I think all I'll say is that most of it is definitely fabricated, but I definitely did my part.
Okay, I appreciate you answering that. Are there any other companies you've got your sights set on launching other than the quite significant portfolio you already have? Or you're looking at me as if I'm absolutely mad for suggesting that?
I'm sorry, you want to do what with me? What did you say?
I'm like,
What'd you say? I do more things?
There's no time left.
You seem like Superwoman, I will say,
you're
in
very
everything you're
sweet.
doing.
No.
You're in Only Murders in the Building.
No, to put work aside, that's great. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. I think for me though, this is just the beginning. I know that we're here, and I'm grateful for my brand, and I'm so focused on the youth and people in mental health. But this is just the beginning. I hope to be more aggressive with other causes and stand behind things that I truly care about. But as of now, this is my way of having trust with people to know that I will resource this and make it something incredible that has effective change, because we have seen it. And it's been wonderful to get the daily compliments, but it's even better to hear the hard stories from people.
And I'd love to hear from you both, because one thing we talk about a lot at MPW here, we love to talk about the successes, but we're also very honest about the things that didn't go right and the harder moments. So since the launching of Rare Beauty and the Impact Fund, what's something that didn't go as planned that you had to kind of revert on?
I would say it's less about revert, and it's more about, as every brand here has talked about, we've just experienced interesting times. And so for us, our constant North Star is our brand values. And as long as we continue to double down and always think about our brand values, we know that we'll show up in moments in the right way. And for us, every single thing intersects with mental health. And so that has continued to be the strength and the through line for us. And sure, will there always be products that maybe don't reach a projection that we plan on or something like that, for sure, but that's part of learning, and that's part of lessons and taking risks. And I think making a commitment to donate 1% of sales was a risk. We took risks from day one, and it's part of how we created the lane that we created in the beauty industry.
And Selena, when you transition to entrepreneurship, we talk a lot, again, about pivoting here. There's women here who have had all different stages to their career. Did you feel that you were taken seriously by the business and beauty industry immediately, or was that something you had to fight for and earn?
I don't think most people would have taken me seriously.
Why not?
I just think I think a lot of people would have preconceived ideas of what I'm good at, and I should stay in my lane, and I should do what I'm here to do. But what I'm here to do is make a difference. So I think I'm going to keep doing it. But so yeah.
And was there a moment when you felt perception towards you as a founder shift?
Yes, and I really respect that. But again, I have so many people that have taught me so much along the way, from stories to everything. I don't, by all means, have it figured out, but I do my hardest, and I show up for this as much as I can.
You said before that you have no plans to sell Rare Beauty. I'm sure there are many people who would be chomping at the bit, as we say in England, to buy it. But it's been a big year for big dollar beauty acquisitions, and I wonder if that has shifted your mentality around this at all.
All I'll say is I'm not ready.
You're not ready. And you,
I love what we do, and I don't want it to. When the time is, I don't want it to change. When the time's right, maybe, but no.
I have to ask a question about your very powerful friendship group. Taylor Swift has just broken a ton of business records with her recent album, The Life of a Showgirl.
Yeah.
You are one of the most successful entrepreneurs in the beauty space. What have you learned from Taylor, and what do you think you've taught her about business?
She's she's one of the most brilliant people I've ever met. She is very strong in her lane, and she gives great advice all the time. I'm not sure what I would say I've done for her other than been there as a friend. But one thing that stuck out to me, and I'll always remember it, but she said, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. And that's that's why I surround myself with really incredible people there's no dumb questions. You have to learn and not be afraid of all the things that you might lose out on.
And you've spoken about yourself as a leader. What is your approach to leadership? Because I imagine, you came up in this very unique world where you were a solo woman on stage, then you were part of ensemble casts. Now you, with your incredible team like Elise, are leading a company. Are there any leaders you look up to whose approach you wanted to emulate? How do you think about leading a team?
To be honest, I actually, some of the people here, and definitely people who are motivational, like Brené Brown. I did not know she was going to be here, and I freaked out backstage. Just because I absolutely respect this. I consider being in this room a real honor, and in a lot of ways, I still find that I'm not sure I deserve it, but I know that this is how I get to grow, and I know I'd rather be here than the MTV Awards.
It's so interesting that you said you feel like you don't deserve it. You've built this huge brand that with obviously, goes without saying, with your team, that, as Emma alluded to in the introduction, has been valued at $2 billion and above. And maybe it's a systematic problem that we talk about a lot here, that you might still feel you don't deserve that. Why would you not deserve to be here?
To be honest, I'm going to go from Brené Brown. She said one of the biggest fears, one of the biggest emotions that you can be fearful of is joy. Because this is how I work personally. When something great happens in my life, I expect something bad to happen. So instead of being present and saying, okay, wow, we've done a great thing, which I do, but I'm always thinking, okay, but if this could all go away tomorrow, so how can I make sure that doesn't happen? Then I can just get wrapped up in that as opposed to enjoying things. And I would say that's my biggest conflict sometimes when, wonderful things happen. I got married and then I was sobbing because I was like, I'm going to die the next day. I think that's a little, life thing.
Can I just say that is, as a woman also in her 30s, that is very relatable.
It's weird. It's a weird
There's highs and there's lows.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear from you both, just to finish, 2 things that you hope Rare Beauty achieves, 2 tangible things in the next 5 to 10 years. And we'll start with you, Elise, maybe to touch on the Impact Fund. Take it.
I think for me, for the brand, the first thing I'll say is that this brand continues to be known not just for its incredible products, but for the mission that fuels it. That's one. And then specifically for the fund, that we can continue to work in partnership with our partners to meet them where they are. They're in unprecedented times, the demands for mental health services, the funding being pulled from nonprofit organizations. I want them to always be able to count on us as a unique funder in the space.
Mm-hmm. Have you felt, has it been very different for you operationally this year, given the funding pulls that you just alluded to?
Absolutely. And we have met that need with them. Not just do these organizations need funding, they need capacity building, their staff are being laid off. And so one of the things we did this year, we hosted a convening with all 30 partners, and we brought in experts to help them on marketing and communications, strategy development, fundraising, so that we are not just funders that hand over checks, but we truly work in partnership to help them build the capacities that they need to sustain their work.
That's amazing. Selena.
Well, my goal
Two-
for
yeah,
Rare Beauty or
two.
life?
Why don't you give us one or two for Rare Beauty and then one for life?
Okay, great.
No pressure.
Right. I truly hope that we continue to make impact first and foremost. But I also have been enjoying the fun part of it, where I get to connect with people, and these products are, I still get excited when someone walks by and they're like, "I'm wearing the blush," and I'm like, I just get so stoked.
We've got the blush backstage, I will say, organically because the makeup artist bought it themselves.
Well, I really get geeked out on little things like that. So I just hope to continue to grow what we're doing. And I just, for personal life, that I keep my head on straight. And I suppose just get better with every day. That's all I want.
I have no doubt that will be the case. Elise and Selena, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You can go off that way. Go off that way. Thank you, Selena. Thank you, Elise. Okay. Next up, for our closing conversation with Muriel Bowser,